Palm Garden on Tuesday, March 22nd from 2 to 3 p.m. I'm calling 854-6262 now.
That's 352-854-6262 for Palm Garden. All right, 18 minutes after 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Monday morning. Gosh, that was a coincidence that we just had that commercial prior to us speaking to Aaron Hanson. Aaron is with Norton, I believe. Aaron is the Senior Regional Manager for Norton by Symantec, which is a leader in consumer security, which is something that commercial was sort of kind of just referring to. He's going to talk to us about the latest tax season scams that consumers and small businesses should be aware of. And I'm guessing some of those scams come our way by way of email. There was a story this morning about the man considered to be the inventor of modern email. Ray Tomlinson passed away. It's interesting. 1971 is when he invented the way that we can go from person to person, specific messages from me to you, using the @ sign, the @ symbol. Isn't it interesting, huh?
Very interesting.
Aaron Hanson. Good morning, Aaron. How are you?
Hey, good morning. I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. And where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Mountain View, California.
So you got up early to be with us. Thank you for doing that.
You bet. Happy to be here.
So we are. Oh, I'm getting email all the time. I sometimes don't even click on things anymore. I'll just delete them, and then later on somebody will say, "Did you get my email?" And I'll say, "Well, maybe." I'm not real good with this. So does Norton help me if I open up something I shouldn't open?
Well, we certainly can. Yeah, that's called a phishing attack. Is when you get an email from somebody that's got a link or something in it that it's designed to look legitimate, but it's fraudulent, and you're smart to delete those. If you're unsure, just delete it.
Yeah. Now, and from what I understand, that this is a prime time for scammers because people are filing their tax refund information. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. The hackers are out there 24/7 looking for ways to scam you, and they see tax season as another opportunity. When consumers are focused on filing your taxes, you're focused on getting your refund, and it's especially increasing as people file taxes online and they use popular tax filing software. So it's a really prime time for the hackers.
So what do? Do they have like counterfeit websites that look like TurboTax and the other ones? I'm not to name one specifically, but that's the one that came to mind.
Yeah, what we're seeing is, like you mentioned, it's the emails that are coming. They purport to be from the IRS, but it's not. It's from a scammer. It's important for your listeners to know that the IRS will never email you. They do not use email as a form of communication. So if you get something from the IRS, it's more than likely they'll direct you to a website and try to get you to log in with your information, and that's how they will collect your personal information. Or you click the link and you download a virus.
This part of Florida has a lot of retirees, and not to say that retirees are not as savvy as younger folks, but sometimes when it comes to electronic stuff, they're not. Maybe they might be newcomers to the whole email thing. I mean, they might have just started this year. It's not really unusual to hear about somebody who just got started. So they get an email. They might be the prime target as well. The older folks. Am I right?
You're absolutely right. Unfortunately, the baby boomers, the older folks out there are another prime target because they may not be as savvy, or they may be more trusting in terms of an email they may receive. And the bad guys are getting really good at making emails look legitimate. They get really good at putting the IRS logo on there and that sort of thing. So the older folks need to be aware out there as well.
Do you know of any scams specifically that are happening?
Yeah, there's a couple that we're seeing. One that we see is it purports to be from the IRS, and they entice you with telling you that your tax return is restricted or it's locked, or you need to go in and log in to unlock or unrestrict your your return. Or you'll get one from TurboTax, right? They like to use TurboTax, and they'll say, look, your account's been locked, or we need more information from you. And they'll use that as a way to try to get your personal information or load a virus on your computer.
Are they using other big names like PayPal and things like that too?
Oh yeah, you know it. PayPal. we've seen them from the UPS saying that you had a package that needs to be signed in to receive, that sort of thing. So they use all the big names out there.
When we hear about software that will protect us from identity theft, is that something that we're starting to really be good at, or do we still have a lot of mistakes with that? Not that the software has mistakes, but the bad guys can find loopholes through it. Maybe is a better way to ask.
Yeah, it's important if you do use a service like that. They actually are really good services because they can help monitor your credit and notify you that if somebody's taken out an account in your name or that sort of thing. So they're pretty good. A lot of those identity protection software or the services.
You know what I want to ask you? Because this happened to me, but it happened on a bigger scale to a hospital, and I'm sure you're familiar with this story. It was the cyber. What do you call it? Oh gosh, when you hold from ransom. It was ransom.
Yeah, ransom.
Okay.
Ransomware.
My screen literally locked up. I couldn't do anything. I have an Apple computer, and I'll tell you why that's important in just a second. And then it said I had to go to 7-Eleven. I am not making this up, and get some kind of a money transfer certificate or something for $350, and they would unlock it, whoever they were. And I mean, it was blatantly just holding me ransom. Couldn't get into my computer. Well, when I turned it off and turned it back on, I noticed there was like a 1 second time frame before that screen came back on. So I had 1 second to go to my preferences and say, don't allow anything to happen on my Apple. And ever since I did that, it's been fine. But there was a story in the news about a hospital that had the ransomware thing happen, and the guy had to pay. The hospital executive had to pay $15,000 to have it unlocked.
Yeah, that was Hollywood Presbyterian that happened to, and that's what they're doing now. They will. It's basically a virus that gets on your computer, whether it's from an email, or the bad guys are using social media now. They're putting nasty links out there on Facebook and what have you, and somebody at the hospital downloaded this ransomware, and what it does is it encrypts your computer so you can't access any of your files. It basically scrambles all your data, and then the bad guys require a payment, a ransom, for a key to unlock the encrypted code. And the guys at the hospital paid $15,000. It was in Bitcoin. They had to go out and find Bitcoin.
Oh my
for it.
goodness!
And,
and in their case, they kind of had no choice because they have lives at stake. I mean, without that information, somebody's life could be lost. So, is there software? I mean, that's your business, is to create software to protect us. Is there software that'll protect us from that?
Yeah, the business that we're in for our Norton security software, we're out there to protect consumers against this kind of stuff. It's essentially a new form of virus that we see is these ransomware attacks that are out there. So we'll help protect you against it. But the biggest thing that your users could do is just to be aware. And like you said, if you see a suspicious email, don't open it. Just be aware of what's out there.
When places like H&R Block file, do they go through their central system online, or do they file directly online to the IRS where you're supposed to file to?
Yeah, I'd probably have to defer that to H&R Block in terms of how they're set up. My assumption would be that they've got an encrypted network and it's all locked down, and that they're dealing directly with the IRS. But that's probably a good question for them.
So what would you recommend? What do we do? Not just us as consumers, but also like if we have a business, like this radio station is a business. I mean, what do we do to protect ourselves?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, run your security software, scan it often. Another, one of the biggest things you can do to protect yourself against ransomware is to back up your data. Have a backup, back it up to a hard drive that's external, and unplug it. And then, like I said, just be aware if you see suspicious emails. Don't open them. Those sorts of things. And if you do, see an email, it's got a link in it. We recommend, instead of clicking on the link, just open up a browser and navigate directly to the site yourself. And that's a good way to be sure that you're not gonna get anything nasty on your computer.
Yeah, I remember getting Norton from my mom when my mom had her first computer. gosh, I don't know how many years ago it was, but first thing I did, we're in the computer store, wherever we bought that computer, and I went for that yellow box, that Norton, familiar name.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. You know what?
Since 82. Yeah, 1982 is when we started.
Wow.
Do they counter each other? Like if you have two security systems on your computer, is it a bad idea? Some people have more than one, and I've often thought, gosh, that might cause problems.
Yeah, we don't recommend it. It can really cause performance if you have two different software out there that are basically scanning the same files on the same, your same computer. We don't recommend it. It can really cause some performance issues. So
You got to take
generally
it to
one will do it. Yeah.
take it to the computer guy and let him put it in the Norton. All right. So before we say goodbye, Aaron, do you have any websites you can send us to?
Yeah, you can just go to norton.com. We've got a lot of good information, tips there as well for both consumers and small businesses to help protect them, especially during tax season right now.
Yeah, and by the way, for our local listeners, there was just an alert just on Friday, telling us to warn you, to let you know that there's a phone scam, and I don't know if they're using the internet for this one, where they're telling you they're going to turn off your electricity if you don't pay your bill.
Yeah.
Pay it right now over the phone, and it's not the Ocala Electric Company. It's somebody else. So
Right. It's awful.
There's scammers everywhere. Aaron Hanson, thank you for reminding us of how important it is to keep our personal information, our electronic information safe. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, we will take a little break, and we'll be right back. You're listening to The Source, WOCA Ocala.